Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. Thanks for tuning into the first official episode of the Scott Ford Show on YouTube. Now, the reason I hesitated when I said that because I posted something before that said the first official YouTube video. That was in line with the podcast. I've ditched the podcast now, so this is now the actual YouTube show. So cheers and good on you, and thanks for tuning into the YouTube show. I believe if I'm doing this correctly now, I've practiced a few times. Please go ahead and subscribe to the show. If you just look right down here, there's a red subscribe bar. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the show. That would help me a lot. And do me a favor, share the show, get it out there, share it to your social media, text it to a friend. All those things apply. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And thank you to the people who followed me from all the way back to the FM radio show, to the podcast, and now to the YouTube show. And I'd also like to welcome any new listeners, and again, spread the word and get it out there. I cover a lot of things, topical type things, motivational type things. I try to have fun, try to be funny. Sometimes they take a serious tone, sometimes it's very goofy, and sometimes it's a very motivational type tone. So there's no actual real structure to the show. It's just basically not necessarily exactly what I always want to talk about, although there is a part of that, of course, but there's also what you guys want to talk about. I absolutely appreciate feedback. I appreciate content that you guys want me to discuss, and I love that kind of thing. So I guess going right into it, it's kind of funny. The other day I was doing my 5-mile run in the morning, and I'm going to go into a little bit about the success part of the show. For today's topic is going to be using daily habits to move your life forward, and I'm going to go into that a little bit. And this kind of plays into that slightly, so a little bit of a teaser into the topic. But I was running the other day, and Kim and Laura, they're my neighbors. They were going on a bike ride, and they saw me running. And I used to use headphones when I would run, and I'd put the wire from the headphone through my shirt and then into my pocket, the phone into my pocket. And then I kept having to get new headphones, and especially like earbuds. They'd always pop out of my ear, and very uncomfortable. I guess my ear holes are really small, something like that. I never liked the earbuds. And then headphones sometimes look a little outdated. And I didn't really care, because when I go running, who cares? You're just running. But I got kind of tired of always having to buy new headphones. So I'm like, why am I buying headphones constantly? I could just put the music on through my phone in the pocket, and have it blaring while I'm running. And it's funny because I use shuffle, so sometimes as I'm running, like a really embarrassing guilty pleasure type song will come on, whatever, like One Direction, and I'm kind of like looking around, like trying to fast forward it real quick or go to the next one. So, but so be it. Like, it's fun. I like to have fun. As I'm running up a hill into my subdivision, and it's a steep hill. It's kind of hard to run up. And here come Laura and Kim riding their bikes down the hill. And as I'm running, it so happens that Staying Alive from the Bee Gees is on. And I said, listen, ladies. And they stopped their bike, and they talked to me for a second, but the song's playing. And I start doing, in the middle of the street, cars driving by, they start cracking up. I start doing the Staying Alive dance. And by the way, too, I got to say, I was like, am I going to be able to pull off this dance? And I did. I actually nailed it. And it was funny, and it was fun, and it was right on top of that steep hill. So then I had to continue running. But it's those kind of things that I like to do. Look, life's too short, and it's hard to get through sometimes. You got to try to find every opportunity to make yourself laugh. I could have seen them coming. I could have turned the song down, could have paused it, could have not said anything other than hi to them. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make them laugh, and in turn that'll make me laugh, and then it'll be a good story for the show. And that's what I did. So they were literally cracking up, and cars were driving. It had to look funny to the cars driving by. Like, I don't know if a car driving by was necessarily thinking maybe I was trying to wow these two chicks on their bikes with my amazing dance skills. But again, it looked funny. They were laughing. We had a good time. And that's what life should be. I was reminded so much. My uncle is dying in the hospital. And when I say this, I don't mean to say this in a very morbid way, but quite literally as I record this, he could be taking his last breath. And that's true. And again, I'm not trying to be morbid, but just to be accurate. He's dying of cancer. I went and visited him last night at the hospital. He's, I believe, what, if I'm accurate in what I was told, that he's 80 pounds right now. Now I'm about actually as of this morning, I think I'm losing a little bit too much weight. I think I need to eat a little bit more, but that's another topic. I'm not purposely trying to lose weight. In fact, I'm doing what I normally do, but I'm 165 right now, and I'm starting to get a little too thin. I was carrying some boxes at work a few days ago, and it was funny because I was carrying the box, and I'm like, my pants are literally falling off of me right now, and I either need a belt, or I need to buy new pants, or I need to put on a couple LBs. I'd rather not put on the LBs because I'm actually literally starting to get a six-pack, and I like it. So I don't think gaining the weight is necessarily the problem. I'm going off on a tangent here. But to put it in perspective, I'm 165. I'm probably normal weight for my height, and my uncle is 80 pounds. So, and we're probably the same height. He might be even slightly taller than me, and he's 80 pounds. That to put it in perspective, he's bones, you know. And it was his birthday as I went to visit him, and what a blessing. I mean, I got there right on time. I went there after work. I walked in just as the nurse was bringing the cake in. We lit a candle. We sang happy birthday to him. It's such a, I was happy to be there. I was happy to see him, and it's such a double-edged sword. Like, it's a blessing, you know. He made it to his birthday. At this point, he is dying. There's no turning back from it. The cancer spread throughout his entire body. What I was amazed at, I was very uncomfortable going there. Very uncomfortable going there, and but then I kept telling myself, look, I'm uncomfortable. Can you imagine how he feels? I mean, seriously, like, suck it up and go there and pay your respects, right? So I was amazed at how strong he was. First of all, he looked better than I thought. Now, that sounds odd to say, being 80 pounds, dying of cancer. It's pretty much what you expect it to be, but walking in the room, I'm like, well, for someone who's quite literally, and again, I'm not trying to say this to be morbid in any way, shape, or form, with full respect, knocking on death's door, but like, he looked good, if that's even a thing. For someone who's going to be dead, again, it sounds so morbid, I'm not trying to be that way, any day now, any minute now, any hour now, right? He looked good. That's weird. That's weird to say that, but he looked better than I thought. Now, the thing that amazed me, fortunately, I have not had to deal with a lot of death in my life, and I'm fortunate in that I'm getting to a stage in life where the circle of life, you know, people are getting older in my family, aunts, uncles, parents, things like that, grandparents. I've lost a couple grandparents, you know, but where I'm probably going to start seeing it more. It's just, again, it's the circle of life. It's how things work. It's unfortunate, but it is. It is what it is, right? And I have to say, for someone who knows that he is dying and there's no turning back, I have to commend him on being so brave and having to have accepted his fate. I didn't know what I was walking into, and I was prepared to cry. I was prepared to just see someone who was emotionally just completely devastated. It wasn't that. I have to say this, and I said it to my aunt who was there, as I walked my aunt to her car, and we were having a conversation, and I said, I can't believe, and I'm so blessed and thankful and grateful to my uncle. It sounds selfish, but for making this easy on me. And I know that sounds extremely selfish, but I was like just prepared for the worst. And you walk in and it's like he's laughing. And then I start to loosen up and I start to crack a couple jokes. And he's laughing at my jokes. And then he's telling stories that are funny. And I'm like, this is not what I expected at all. It was refreshing in the oddest possible way. I mean, how can you say visiting someone in the hospital that is dying any second now how could that be refreshing? I guess it's just, it was so refreshing to see someone who has accepted their fate in such a brave way. Again, if that makes sense. Look, we're all going to die. You know, sometimes when we see people and we know someone who's dying, and you hear someone who's got cancer and they're dying, you know, quite obviously we feel very bad for them. And that, again, that's obvious, you should. As if, though, we're going to escape that fate. We're all dying. Every day we're getting closer to death. And again, not trying to be negative or morbid, but it's true. We're all dying. There's no cure for death. That's the ultimate disease, right? So sometimes when we feel this pain for someone that we see that's dying, and somehow, some way we feel, I feel bad for them, they're dying. But that's not going to happen to me. Well, yes, it is going to happen to you, you know. And again, that's very obvious, but I could not believe how brave he was, how much he's accepted his fate, and how, oddly to say, how easy it was visiting a dying man in the hospital. He's my godfather, and we were not very close growing up. I didn't know him very well, but of course, through the years, I've seen him, and he's not that much older than I am too, by the way. And my mom had me at a young age, and so it was refreshing in the way it was good to pay last respects to someone who's accepted their fate so bravely. I can't explain it other than to say it was oddly refreshing. And again, that doesn't make sense. I admit, as I say it, like, that doesn't even make sense. But it just, I'm grateful. I'm going to put it this way: I'm grateful to my uncle for being so brave. And his son was there, and a few of my family members were there. I got to see my mother and my father. It's my mom's brother. And then, so as I'm hugging him goodbye, well, one thing before I even say that, my cousin hugged him goodbye, and my cousin said, "I'm going to try to make it up here on Monday." And then my uncle said, I don't know about that, you know. So, but again, he didn't say it in a sad way. I can't explain that. I cannot explain that. He said it as a matter of fact, like, well, I don't know about that, you know. And you know, you're thinking it's going to be worse than that. And so, I mean, I know me personally, if I knew I was dying and I had days or minutes or hours to live, I don't know how, I would just, it would drive me insane. He's handling death braver than I probably ever could imagine. It's wow. I cannot believe that. So as I'm hugging him goodbye, probably quite literally for the last time, you know, I'm going to try to make it there again too, but I don't know. I mean, I could get the phone call any minute now that he's gone, you know. But looking at him, other than the 80 pounds, he looks like he's going to live for several more years. It's weird. It's a weird thing. So I'm hugging him goodbye, and I mean, I can feel the bones in his back, you know. And so I'm hugging him. I gave him a kiss on the cheek and then a kiss on the forehead. And by the way, too, like, just to express, like, we didn't have that kind of relationship. In fact, he was a very almost tough Chicago type guy. Like, I think any other time in my life, if I would have kissed him, he probably would have punched me. And not just like, you know, we didn't have that kind of relationship. But I felt compelled to kiss my uncle goodbye, you know. And he said, "You know, Scott, I'm your godfather." Or he said, "You're my godson." And I said, I know you are, Mike. And then I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard. I didn't know what to do. So I kind of held his cheek in my hand, and I didn't even say, like, goodbye. You know, I gave him the kiss. I put my hand on his cheek. I kind of caressed it for a second, and then I took one last look at him and I walked out the door. And I guess I wanted to capture that moment, if that makes sense. And then um, I guess my point in the long way to explain it is we have to live, people. Like, yeah, look, we're all gonna face that fate, you know, and some of us are not gonna have a chance to say goodbye. So that's why I want to, in the middle of a street where cars driving by, I want to dance, literally do the staying alive dance. Um, ah, ah, ah. uh, do those kind of things, make people laugh, enjoy your life, try to talk yourself out of like, look, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling pissed off, someone cut me off in traffic, so what? So what? Is it worth a second of your time when we know that each second counts, and it quite literally does? So that's my point. Like, enjoy every second of your life. So if anything out of this first episode, I want to, um, you know, just say enjoy your life. As I started the episode, well, as I end every episode, I should say enjoy your life, but I really do mean enjoy your life. All right, so that's really important. I was thinking the other day, whatever happened to flash mobs? You know, like that was a big thing, maybe not even possibly 10 years ago, but that was a huge thing. You'd see it all everywhere, flash mobs. Now, as annoying as some of them may have been, they were actually kind of, if you really think about it, took a lot of planning, took a lot of structure, took a lot of like practice. So there was a lot of work put into those flash mobs. And I don't mean the flash mobs that go in and steal stuff out of a store. Those are ridiculous, disgusting flash mobs. I'm talking about the flash mobs that, like, they would go into the middle of the street, like everybody would be walking in a busy somewhere, and then just stop and then start dancing or something. Though again, a little annoying, but also at the same time a little entertaining, and a little, you got to throw a little respect. Like, man, they put a lot of work into that. They just seem to have disappeared completely. So I don't know if that was obviously just quite a trend that just hit for a little bit, and then people are like, yeah, I'm bored of this, let's move on. But it'd be kind of cool to bring a flash mob back. I don't, maybe we should do for the show, we should do a flash mob of everybody stop and start doing the staying alive dance. I think that would be kind of funny. I'm also thinking a little bit, quite a bit about, because everyone is obviously, about coronavirus, is I always think about this, like, if everywhere you go now, you have to wear a mask everywhere. You can't go into a store without a mask. You can barely walk down the street without a mask. Shouldn't it be gone by now? If everyone and everywhere is wearing a mask everywhere we have to go and it's required by law, then shouldn't it be like, I kind of go back to what I've always been saying about, I think it's political. I think there's more to it. I do not think it's a hoax. I always have to make sure I completely explain that it's not a hoax. It's very real. It's very dangerous to some people. But again, it's got a 99.8% success rate. Again, we hear a lot of people when they say, I've got, you hear like, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so. I don't know anybody directly that has coronavirus, but I've heard like so-and-so and so-and-so has coronavirus. And then your first instinct and first reaction always like, oh, they do? Like it's a death sentence, and it's rarely a death sentence. It's statistically, it's you're going to be fine if you get coronavirus. So, I mean, imagine if someone said, you know, whoever, I heard my uncle has a cold. You know, everyone like, oh my God, he's got a cold. Is he going to be okay? Like, of course he's going to be okay. To me, it's kind of, it feels the same thing. Like, yes, flus are very dangerous. Many people die from the flu every year, but we don't shut down the entire world over the flu. So I get why we had to contain it. I understand that. I'm full support of that. I'm not going to go into a big thing about it, but if we have to wear a mask now everywhere we go, which we do, and I'm seeing very, very safe protocols put in place. I feel safe when I go to work. I don't feel like I'm in danger in any way, shape, or form. I have to wear a mask in common areas everywhere I go. Out in public. So I just feel like it shouldn't it be kind of gone at this point? Shouldn't it be going away? Shouldn't it be disappearing at this point? And it's not. So I think it's waiting for the election till it finally disappears. That's my thought. That's my belief on it. I think it's politically related. I really, really do. I think once the election's over, I think it's going to magically either disappear, or there'll be a cure, or again, it all depends on who wins the election. It's either going to be doubled down, this kind of stuff, or again, if one side wins, it all goes away. So that's my thought on that. I'd like some feedback on that as well. So a lot of thoughts in the news now. Racial tensions are high in this country. I work in the city of Chicago. It's all boarded up. It looks terrible. Again, the news media keeps calling it peaceful protesting, and if it's peaceful, then why do we have to keep closing down my place of business? Why is everything boarded up? It gets a little frustrating. It gets a little old, obviously. So one of the big things, and I'm just saying things as they are. I'm not take it any way you want, but I don't understand from a cop's point of view what they're supposed to do in many of these cases. It seems like most of them by far start with the laws being broken, and then it leads to non-compliance by the person they're trying to either arrest or talk to, and then it escalates, and then things happen. And I just don't understand why more of the narrative is. I understand. Look, I would never support a cop just shooting somebody, but in all of these cases, it's not like this person's at a library reading a book and the cop just goes in and shoots them. I mean, it doesn't happen. Okay, so we'll go to this Jacob Blake story, and that's the big one right now as I record this. There's so many things to talk about, and of course I got to be delicate about it. I don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time I want to talk about it. I want to discuss it, and some of the things that I see, being a person who tries to live their life straight down the middle, and I can take things from this side and things from this side. I'm confused in many ways, in many cases, and many times I don't know what the police are supposed to do. This person, Jacob Blake, he's a convicted felon of a sexual assault, domestic abuser. Does that mean he should get shot? No, that's not what I'm saying, and that's not what I mean by that. That's not why a person should get shot. Of course not. I do know that the cops did try to speak to him. They tried to get him to talk to them. He wouldn't talk to them. I believe that there was a scuffle involved of some sort. I don't know necessarily if he threw a fist at them, if he threw punches at them. I don't know that. But I do know, though, that there was non-compliance. I do know that the police tried to tase him. It was unsuccessful. And then he goes to his car. There was a warrant out for his arrest. Again, all things that just lead to, like, don't you think things would be handled much better if you just stopped, complied, and listened? And it probably wouldn't escalate to that. So after they try to tase him, he goes to his car. The police tell him, whatever, stop. I think they're continually saying, stop, don't, he opens the door, he reaches into his car, they shoot him, okay? To my understanding. And you have to understand that the cops have a gun, okay? They're scared. There's adrenaline. Again, there's a scuffle of some sort, taser, unsuccessful. What are they supposed to do? They don't know if he's reaching into his car, gonna pull out a gun and start shooting people. Should he have been shot 7 times? Probably not. Okay, again, I try to be fair in everything that I say and everything how I report it. But what are the cops supposed to do? If he's non-compliant, he's not listening, and he's reaching into his car. I don't understand what the cops are supposed to do. Are they supposed to let themselves potentially be shot? Is that what people want? There was a case a couple weeks ago in Chicago where riots took place, where literally a person was running from the cops. He turns and shoots at the cops. The cops shoot back at him. Riots in the city. I'm like, so now cops can't even shoot back at someone who's shooting at them? What is the message? What are people looking for? What do people want? I'm confused by this. I don't know the answer. Is it every time? I'm telling you one thing that's going to happen, and it's going to happen sooner than later. All this talk about defund the police, every time like a cop gets shot at and they shoot back and it's their fault, what's going to start happening is cops are going to get the call, and I'm sure it's already happening, and they're going to go, I'm not going anywhere near that place. And so now the cops are going to be in trouble for not responding to calls, but the cops are also going to say, I don't know what to do anymore. If I respond, I get in trouble. If I don't respond, I get in trouble. But I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be thrown in prison. Comply. Why is more talk not being talked about compliant? I promise you, these things wouldn't escalate to this point. The cops, look, here's the situation. The cops have a gun. The cops want to go home at night and be with their family, okay? they don't want to shoot someone. Do you think that the cops want this attention? Do you think the cops want to get arrested? Do you think the cops want to go to jail? Do you think the cops want to get shot? No, they want to go home and be with their family. Comply. And 99.999% of this would all go away if people just complied. You can't punch a cop. I've told this story before in my podcast. I'll say it again because it's very relevant. Years ago, I walk out of a movie theater, and literally a cop says, he looks at me and he goes, "Get up against the wall." And I'm like, "What?" I immediately got up against the wall though, okay? And then he asks to see my ID. I give him my ID. In fact, a little inaccurate on the story. Let me say it again. I come out of the theater, cop comes up to me and says, "Let me see your ID." And I'm like, okay. I give him my ID. I didn't start fighting the cop. I didn't punch the cop. I didn't say, "I don't have to listen to you, police officer." I didn't say anything other than, okay. I give him my ID. He takes my ID, then he tells me to get up against the wall, hands up against the wall. I put my hands up at and again, the whole time I'm like, "What? I just literally got out of a movie." And he asked me that, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I said, "I just got out of this movie." He asked me what time did it start. I told him what time it started. I go, "It just ended. I just walked out of the theater." And then I hear him on his radio, and he's railing it in. He's saying my name and my address, and then paraphrasing it. I don't know the exact cop language that he used, but he just said, like, "Who are we looking for, more or less? Like, what's the suspect we're looking for?" And they say, long brown hair. At the time, I had longer brown hair, wavy. I had longer brown wavy hair. Brown jacket. I had a brown jacket on, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Blue jeans and whatever. I had blue jeans on. I'm like, oh my gosh. Whoever did whatever. I'm fitting this description. Like, this isn't looking good. And then the person on the radio said mustache. Now, I did not have a mustache. So the cop says, "All right, here's your." I think he even asked to see my ticket for the movie. I believe. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe he did. So if he did, I showed him the ticket if I had it, and then he gave me my ID back and said, "Okay, you can go." Now again, all of this, it could have escalated further. Can you imagine if he told me to get up against the wall and I said, "F you, I don't have to listen to you," and I started throwing punches at him? What do you think would have happened? Do you think this would have escalated? Do you think that he would have just let me go at that point? So again, I don't understand what the cops are supposed to do. This is a situation where you could call it racial profiling. I'm white. He looked at a guy. I'm white. They're looking for a white guy with brown wavy hair. I have brown wavy hair, right? So was I racially profiled, or did I fit a description? So again, you could take it many ways, but the one thing I did was comply. I didn't fight the cop, okay? All of these situations, I can't believe more narrative, more talk about that isn't going on. Listen, you get pulled over by a cop, be respectful, say, "Yes, sir, yes, ma'am." "Oh, I shouldn't have to do that." Well, maybe you should, though. Maybe that should be the narrative. Maybe that's what we should be talking about. Instead of just continuously just blaming the cops that are scared, that have a gun, that are trying to do their job and are trying to go home at night. Maybe you should listen. Maybe you should comply. Maybe take the fight up in court if that's what it comes down to. I bet you a lot of these cases, if you're not the guilty one, okay, again, most of these lead up to, they're not just showing up to the library and shooting you. I'm sorry, LeBron James, but black people are not being hunted on the streets. Not by cops anyway. 8 or 9 black people on average are shot a year by the police. 8 or 9. 7,000 black people are killed a year by other black people. So if we're going to keep that narrative going, with LeBron James is saying that black people are being hunted on the streets, if we're going to be realistic and we're going to be absolutely honest about it, it's the black people that are hunting the black people. It's not the cops. Okay, 8 or 9 are killed on average a year by cops. 7,000 a year are killed by other black people. So, oh my gosh, I must be a racist because I'm presenting facts. These are the facts, people. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that maybe certain things shouldn't be looked at. Maybe we do need to re-envision certain things and take a look at things. But I don't know. I look at facts. I look at as things as they really are. I don't. Let's say, for example. Let's say this, for example. Let's say, again, dream scenario type of thing. Just making it up as I go along. But let's say, for example, let's say we took guns away from the police, okay, and we said cops are no longer allowed to have guns, and so we go 1 year. Let's say we start in 2021, and from 2021 to 2022, not one black person is shot by a cop, okay? Wow, victory, right? would black people still be getting shot by black people? So what is the real issue? Why are we looking at 8 or 9 people that are shot by cops? Although we should, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, as opposed to 7,000. I'd rather look at the 7,000 number and say, we got to look at this, there's a problem here, as opposed to 8 or 9. Am I making sense? Again, use common sense, people. Let's help the 7,000. Why are they getting shot? Let's start looking into that. Let's start talking about fatherless homes. No one wants to talk about that for some reason because, again, that's racist. Well, again, if that's racist, I'm trying to save black people's lives. We need to look at what's really going on here. Let's address the 7,000 are killed and not let the 8 or 9 that are getting killed. Not let that go, not leave that alone. Let's address that too. But I don't know if rioting and destroying cities, I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if we're gonna get the answer. I think what we're gonna get is less police involvement and we're gonna get more people killed. You're gonna see the 8 or 9 go down. Okay, now it's gonna go down to 4. But we're gonna see the 7,000 go up to 8,000, to 9,000, to 10,000. You're gonna see more people fall victim to crime. You're going to see more businesses shut down and leave because of the fact that they're not getting the protection that they need. What's the bigger problem? What should we look at? What should we address? If you ask me, I'm making sense. I'm speaking very logically. I'm using common sense. And by the way, because it always gets called racism for some reason, I'm trying to save more black lives. So if that makes me a racist for trying to save more black people, then I can't, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. Because that's how I feel. I feel that it's true. I feel that that's intellectually honest. By the way, too, this comes from my buddy Jason Taylor. We had a conversation about this. Jacob Blake is a felon of a sexual assault. Okay, now I don't know the exact details of that. But LeBron James is going on TV saying black people are being hunted. I wonder if LeBron James would feel the same way if his wife was being sexually assaulted by a black guy. Would he feel the same way? Would he just say, we got to just turn the other cheek and let it go? He's a felon of a sexual assault. Again, it's easy to just say black people are being hunted. Well, is LeBron James necessarily being hunted? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, so again, do I have all the answers? Can I solve racism in this country? Again, also too, we always hear about the white supremacists are ruining the country. Are they? I don't see white supremacists running around the streets, burning down the cities, breaking the windows. I don't, you hear so much narrative about white supremacists, but I don't really see it anywhere. I don't know any white supremacists. I don't know of anybody's door I can knock on and go, do you know someone who's a white supremacist? And they go, yeah, you know that one dude down the street is a white supremacist. I don't see them. I don't know them. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying it's not a problem in any way, shape, or form. But I'm saying it appears to be, the narrative is this big, but the actual problem itself is this big. What I do see is a lot of people destroying the cities. I do see a lot of crime. And again, I see 7,000 black people killed by other black people. I see that being more of a problem than these so-called white supremacists that are doing what? I mean, I'm being honest, and I'm just asking a legitimate question here because I'm confused by it. I really, really am confused by it. Also, too, like, if we want to be truthful and we want to be honest, a basketball player, I think it was last week or a week, not more than 2 weeks ago, he called a white basketball player a bitch-ass white boy. Didn't lose his job, didn't get suspended, didn't get fined. What if we flip that one just a little bit? Do you think the same thing would happen? Do you think if a white guy said a racial derogatory name to a black player, do you think he would get fined? Probably, for sure, fired. Do you think he would at least get suspended? Maybe. Do you think that would happen? It's funny how it's not working the other way. Again, are we looking for equality, or are we just looking... I don't understand what we're looking for. I really don't, because I see what people are saying they want, and then I'm like, well, I don't know, is that what we're going for? I'm looking for honesty. If a white dude calls a black dude a racial name and he gets fired, which I think is justified, I also think it should happen if a black player says bitch ass white boy. I think the same thing should happen. And if we're going to go for actual equality, then I think that needs to apply. Again, common sense, and logic. That's what that tells me. So let's get into the motivational aspect of the show, and it's using daily habits to move your life forward. And I think that's so important. There was a time in my life many years ago when I was just a wandering specific, and I got that actual name from Zig Ziglar, who's a mentor of mine and someone who actually changed my life. And I just used to just kind of wake up, hate my life, complain about my life, and I had no direction. I kind of came up with, I just felt like I was a ball in a pinball machine. I was just getting knocked around. So whatever circumstance would come up, that's how I would either react to it or, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't have goals. I didn't have anything that I was ever really working towards, other than I would just wake up, complain about my life, hate my life. I fed myself with negative affirmations, negative self-talk. That's all I ever did. And of course, my life sucked, because guess what? That's all I ever talked about. All I talked about was how my life sucked. I was unhappy in my life. And I was never really working towards anything. And it wasn't until I changed certain things in my life, and especially one of the things I started applying in a very big way was using daily habits to change my life. Like now, I'm very structured, and I do certain things every single day that lead to success every single day of my life. And I do those things because if I ever miss a day or I get off of my path of success, I start to feel it, and I can feel myself starting to backtrack. I've said many times before about, I think our natural default setting in a lot of cases probably goes back to caveman days, where we go back to almost like the negativity, where we're on high and alert, and we're just always looking out for that tiger or that saber-toothed tiger that's going to eat us or something, And so I think we need to remind ourselves on a daily basis, and we need to be working towards those success type and creating those success type environments in our life. So again, I think the best way to do it, and if you're able to do it, is start your morning off with that way. I start my morning off every day. I start saying very positive type affirmations. I say a few of them. Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but and then I listen to, literally, it's a positive podcast every single day. I listen to 2 of them, in fact, right in a row, back to back, and they're literally just complete positivity, and I'm getting my mindset right. So as I'm drinking water, I wake up, I drink the equivalent of a bottle of water, like 16 ounces of water. And as I'm drinking my water, I'm sitting on my couch, I'm counting my blessings, and I'm listening to 2 positive motivational type podcasts. Good way to start the day, right? Then I stretch, I go for a 5-mile run, and during the 5-mile run, I'm listening to really just awesome music, loud, dancing in the street, staying alive, right? And I get back from my run, I start doing breathing techniques, and then I take my dog for a walk. As I'm taking my dog for a walk, I start counting my blessings, going over my gratitudes, things that I'm thankful for, things that I'm grateful for. And I get home, I take a 100% cold shower. I used to take a normal shower, and then at the end of the shower, for like the last 3 minutes or so, I'd turn it to cold and just sit in there for the cold water. Now, that puppy never goes to warm or hot. I get in there, I just turn it to cold, and I get in there cold, and it is very hard to get in. Trust me, it never gets easy. But within the first few seconds, once I actually get in there, I'm in, and it starts to feel normal, and it actually starts to feel good. You talk about like reviving yourself and getting yourself, wake yourself up and get that blood going and get your metabolism going and get that blood flowing and just feeling good. It's a huge wake up. It feels really good. That's why I start my day, and then I go to work. So I'm not going into work dragging ass, complaining about how I hate my life and life sucks. I'm going into work actually really happy, because I've set the stage for a very good day. Throughout the day, I'm constantly doing affirmations. Another thing, I just started this 2 days ago. So if you want to kind of jump in line with me and try to do what I'm doing, what I do, I have this affirmation I came up with, and it's, I am attracting health, wealth, and happiness into my life. I write it 12 times a day on a piece of paper. Not only am I saying it many times throughout the day, and as well as many, many, many other affirmations, success type affirmations, talking about gratitudes. I do that all day long. But what I do now, I'm right-handed. I write these affirmations with my left hand. And believe me, they look very sloppy. They look terrible, but I'm strengthening my left hand. And what I'm doing is, that's actually a way, it's a technique to keep your brain young and to keep your brain active. Okay, as we get older, we start to lose a little bit of brain function. But if you actually do things like that, like I brush my teeth now with my left hand, I do that purposely. I write these affirmations 12 times with my left hand. Again, it looks terrible, but each day it's going to be getting a little bit better, but I'm creating new neurons in my brain, okay? If you just do the same routine over and over and over and over and over, your brain starts to get lazy. You have to trick your brain sometimes. You almost have to like trick it. You have to like throw a curveball to your brain. That creates new neurological pathways that are in your brain. Again, to simplify it, keep your brain young, keep your brain active, keep your brain learning new things. You keep learning new things, you're gonna stay young, your brain's gonna stay young, your brain's gonna work better as you get older. Okay, so statistically speaking, that'll keep you from, you know how a lot of old people, I can't remember. This helps to prevent that. It's not necessarily saying it will keep you away from that forever, but as long as you keep throwing your brain a curveball and trying different things. So I do that. They say you should also, I've done a lot of research on this too. Like, let's say you go to work the same way every single day and you do it for years. You should try to go different ways, take a different road. So I try to do that now, where I take this path to work, I'll try to take a different street, or going home especially, I'll do, instead of going the same exact way I've been doing it forever, I'll go down a different side street. Again, it's keeping your brain young, it's creating new neurological pathways. Try to also too, while you're driving, now of course, focus to your drive, focus on what you're on the road, but look at different scenes. Like, so instead of, if you're just normally just looking here, which you should be as you're driving, by the way, maybe you should take a look at, I've never noticed that house before, I've never noticed that tree standing there before. Take a look at that, take a mental picture of it, notice different signs, notice things like that. So try to notice your surroundings and try to, every day, I'm gonna find something new on this road that I've never seen before. You will be surprised if you do this, which I've been doing. You'd be surprised. Every day you could pick up something new that you've never noticed before, if you're really looking for it. Now again, if you're really looking for it, if you're really looking for success, and if you're really talking to your brain, I'm telling you, is such a magical computer. If you constantly say to yourself, my life sucks, I hate my life, your brain goes to work to say, okay, he's saying his life sucks, so I'm going to create things to that his brain are in line with what he's saying, okay? But if you say my life's awesome, I'm constantly creating success in my life, or like my new affirmation, I am attracting health, wealth, and happiness into my life. I say that to myself, and I say it with belief, I say it with conviction, and then again, I write it down with my left hand. I'm building new neurological pathways to keep my brain young, but to also to keep my brain and my mind focused on that. I'm kind of delivering a message and a command to my brain to say, this is what I want you to find. This is what I want you to work towards, see? So do those kind of things, and I promise you're going to see massive change in your life. And it's not, oftentimes, it's not overnight, but it's that constant, it's doing it and doing it and doing it. It's that repetition. It's developing those habits that lead you to success. So daily success habits are very important. They're going to lead to success. They're going to lead to change, to good change, to possibly permanent change. I know that I've completely restructured and elevated my life, and I did it several years ago by doing these exact same things that I'm telling you right now. So with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, please do me a favor and subscribe below that red bar. Just hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. I want to see these subscription numbers go up. Share the show, share it to your social media, get it out there, text it to a friend, especially if you found any value in this. I also love feedback. I'd love to read the positive comments below. If you have any feedback, if you have anything you want me to discuss or talk about, or if this helped you in any way, shape, or form. At this point in my life, I just want to help as many people as I can. I want to reach out there. I want to try to make you laugh. I want to try to get you to think. And there's unfortunately, there's just a lot of negativity in the world. And we have to be the people that bring the happiness. And again, as a tribute to my Uncle Mike, we're all going there, you know, and it's sad. I don't mean that in a morbid way. In fact, I mean it in a very positive way. Every second counts. So understand that, realize that. Again, someone cuts you off in traffic. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? They're not thinking about it the second they cut you off. Let it go. Do you need to flip them off? Do you need to get angry? Do you need to talk about it the next 5 hours that someone cut you off? let it go. You got too many good things you need to be focused on, and focusing on some knucklehead that cut you off, you're giving them too much attention, too much time. So be positive, get out there, spread a good message, try to help people, try to get people to laugh, be goofy. Be goofy if that's what it takes, even if it means you falling down or dancing in the middle of the street to staying alive. Get out there and do your best. All right, thank you everybody. I appreciate you. Like I said, subscribe below. Have a magical day and enjoy your life.